What if I told you that the mightiest river in North America starts in this US state as a tiny stream you can simply hop across? Or that the red earth of this state provided the steel that literally won World War II? Welcome to Minnesota, a land of deep forests and endless waters that has quietly shaped the history of the entire world. Here are 15 incredible geography facts you never knew about Minnesota. While many places in North America have a continental divide separating two watersheds, Minnesota possesses a rare hydrological anomaly, a triple continental divide located just north of Hibbing at the Hill of Three Waters. This specific point marks the intersection of three major drainage basins. If you were to pour a bucket of water here, the streams could theoretically travel in three vastly different directions. One path flows south into the Mississippi River and down to the Gulf of Mexico. A second path flows east through the Great Lakes and out the St. Lawrence Seaway and into the Atlantic Ocean. The third path flows north into the Red River, eventually reaching the Hudson Bay and the Arctic Ocean. It's the hydrographic apex of the entire North American continent. During the last ice age, massive continental glaciers flattened most of the Midwest, scouring the earth and leaving behind the famous 10,000 lakes in their wake. However, due to the specific ways the ice lobes moved, they completely missed the southeastern corner of Minnesota. This region is known geologically as the Driftless Area because it lacks glacial drift, the silt and rocks left behind by retreating ice. Because it wasn't steamrolled by ice, this area looks nothing like the rest of the state. Instead of flat prairie, it features sharp topography, deep river valleys, towering limestone bluffs, and intricate cave systems typical of karst topography. Driving into this region feels like entering a different state entirely, offering a prehistoric glimpse of what the Midwest looked like before the Ice Age leveled it. If you look at a map of the United States, you'll see a small chimney of land protruding from the top of Minnesota into Canada. This is the northwest angle, the northernmost point of the contiguous United States. This geographic oddity is an exclave. It's surrounded by water on three sides and Canada on the fourth. Consequently, it's impossible to drive there from the US without crossing an international border and driving through Manitoba. The angle exists solely due to a surveying error in the 1783 Treaty of Paris. Mapmakers at the time believed the source of the Mississippi River lay further north than it actually did. By the time the mistake was realized, the border was set, leaving a chunk of Minnesota stranded north of the 49th parallel. In the Minnesota River Valley, you can walk on some of the oldest solid ground on Earth. The rock found here, known as Morton gneiss or rainbow granite, dates back roughly 3.5 billion years to the Archean Eon. For context, the Earth itself is only estimated to be around 4.5 billion years old, meaning these rocks have witnessed nearly 80% of the planet's history. They are metamorphic rocks formed under immense heat and pressure deep within the ancient crust, and have since been pushed to the surface. Their swirling black and pink bands are visually distinct and have been used architecturally in buildings across the country. To touch these rocks is to touch the literal foundation of the North American continent, formed before multicellular life even existed. The northwestern part of Minnesota, specifically the Red River Valley, is one of the flattest places on Earth. This unnatural flatness is the result of the massive glacial lake Agassiz. Towards the end of the last ice age, melting glaciers created a colossal lake that, at its peak, was larger than all the current Great Lakes combined. It covered parts of Minnesota, North Dakota, and vast swaths of Canada. When the ice dam holding the water back finally broke, the lake drained catastrophically, carving out the deep valley that currently holds the Minnesota River. The ghost of this lake remains today in the form of the Red River Valley's jet black, incredibly fertile soil, sediment that settled at the bottom of the ancient lake bed over thousands of years. That sediment is basically thousands of years of history layered on top of itself. And honestly, my web browser often feels the same way. Just layers and layers of open tabs and digital clutter that slows everything down. That's why I switched to Opera. Opera has completely rebuilt their AI to be faster and smarter, making your browsing experience way more efficient. And the best part? It doesn't require any extra installation or accounts. It's just ready to go. For example, When I'm researching for these videos, I have dozens of sources open. Opera AI automatically works within the context of my entire tab island or specific web pages to give me summaries or answer questions instantly. I don't have to screenshot or copy paste anything, I just ask the AI and it does the heavy lifting for me. And to keep everything organized, I use tab islands. I group my research tabs in one island and my admin tabs in another, and I can change the group names and colors to help with organization. I can also collapse them when I need to focus, or use split screen to view 4 pages at once, like comparing a map to a source text while typing in a Google Doc with a YouTube video playing on the side, all without having to jump between windows. And when I need a break, the video pop-out feature lets me detach a YouTube video and move it anywhere on my screen, even fully outside the browser, so I can keep watching a great video while I work in other programs. So take control of your browsing. Download Opera for free at the link in the description to start browsing faster and smarter today. Check the link below to upgrade your browser. Opera helps you see exactly what you're looking for without the clutter. But in 1882, a surveying crew in Minnesota saw something completely wrong, and it ended up saving an entire forest. Deep in the Chippewa National Forest lies the Lost 40, a section of land that contains some of the oldest trees in the Midwest. In 1882, a surveying crew working on the frozen winter wilderness made a mapping error. Whether due to incompetence or exhaustion, they plotted this 144-acre tract of land as part of Coddington Lake. Because the map showed the area as open water, lumber barons assumed there were no trees to harvest and ignored the plot entirely. While the rest of northern Minnesota was aggressively logged for its valuable timber in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, this patch was accidentally preserved. Today, it remains one of the few places in the state where you can go see untouched, old-growth white pine forests as they existed centuries ago, all thanks to a cartographer's mistake. The capital of Minnesota sits at a geographically critical point, the head of navigation on the Mississippi River. However, its history began with a bootlegger named Pierre Pig's Eye Parent. In 1838, Parent, a man known for his questionable character and distinct blind eye, set up a tavern in a cave along the river to sell whiskey to soldiers and settlers. The community that sprouted around his establishment became known as Pig's Eye. It remained that way until 1841, when a Catholic priest named Father Lucien Gaultier arrived. Appalled that the growing settlement was named after a bootlegger, he built a small log chapel dedicated to St. Paul and convinced the settlers to adopt the name. Had Gaultier not intervened, the capital of Minnesota might still appear on maps today as Pig's Eye. The existence of Minneapolis as a major metropolis is directly tied to a single geological feature, St. Anthony Falls. As the only major natural waterfall on the entire Mississippi River, the falls provided an immense, concentrated source of kinetic energy. In the late 19th century, industrialists harnessed this power to drive massive turbines for flour mills. Between 1880 and 1930, Minneapolis was the undisputed milling capital of the world, processing the endless supply of wheat arriving from the Great Plains. This specific interaction between the river's geography and industrial technology gave rise to global giants like Pillsbury and General Mills. The city's identity, economy, and even its nickname, the Mill City, were entirely shaped by the cascading water of the Mississippi. For centuries, the true source of the Mississippi River was a geographic mystery that baffled European explorers. Many expeditions failed, identifying the wrong lakes or getting lost in the complex wetlands of northern Minnesota. It wasn't until 1832 that Henry Schoolcraft, led by the Ojibwe guide, Ozawindib, successfully identified the headwaters. Schoolcraft wanted a name that sounded authoritative, so he asked a missionary for the Latin words for truth and head, Veritas Caput. He took the middle syllables of the two words to coin the name Itasca. Today, the mighty river begins as a humble, knee-deep stream flowing out of Lake Itasca. Visitors can easily wade across the water that will eventually widen to over a mile and drain 41% of the continental United States. The Mesabi Iron Range in northern Minnesota is one of the richest iron ore deposits on the planet. This geologic fortune played a pivotal role in 20th century history. The ore found here was not only high grade, but also located near the surface, allowing for massive open pit mining. During World War II, the United States required an unprecedented amount of steel for ships, tanks, and munitions. The Iron Range answered the call. supplying over 70% of the iron ore used by the US war effort. The geography of Minnesota was dug up, loaded onto ships on Lake Superior, and forged into the arsenal of democracy. It's no exaggeration to say that the physical geography of the Mesabi Range was a deciding factor in the Allied victory. Minneapolis is home to the largest contiguous system of enclosed, second-level bridges in the world, a direct architectural response to the state's punishing winters. The system consists of climate-controlled pedestrian footbridges connecting the second floors of various downtown buildings. Spanning over 9.5 miles and linking 80 city blocks, the Skyway allows the city's human geography to function independent of the weather. A person can live in a condo, work in an office tower, go to the gym, see a doctor, and eat dinner without ever stepping outdoors. While it is an engineering marvel that keeps the economy moving during blizzards, urban planners often debate its social impact, as it removes foot traffic from the street level, creating a bifurcated city where the life happens one story up. When you think of the massive international shipping hubs, you likely imagine coastal cities like New York or Los Angeles, not a town in the middle of the Midwest. Yet, the port of Duluth Superior is a marvel of human geography and logistical engineering. Situated at the westernmost tip of Lake Superior, it's the furthest inland freshwater seaport in North America. To reach this dock, ocean-going vessels, known locally as salties, must travel over 2,300 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, navigating the entire St. Lawrence Seaway and the Great Lakes chain. Despite this incredible distance from the sea, Duluth is a juggernaut of trade, typically ranking as the busiest port on the Great Lakes by tonnage. It serves as the primary exit point for the continent's interior, shipping the iron ore, grain, and coal of the heartland out to the rest of the world. The Mall of America in Bloomington challenges the definition of a shopping center. It functions more like a sovereign city-state. With a gross area of 5.6 million square feet, it's large enough to fit 7 Yankee stadiums inside. The mall attracts roughly 32 million visitors annually, a number that's roughly 6 times the population of Minnesota itself. Because of its sheer scale and population density, the mall operates with its own unique human geography. It has its own zip code, a dedicated counterterrorism unit, a school, and an amusement park. It serves as the modern town square for the region, blurring the lines between public space, tourism hub, and private commercial enterprise. Rochester, Minnesota represents a unique type of urban settlement, a city built entirely around a single healthcare institution. The Mayo Clinic is not just a hospital. It's the economic and cultural engine of the entire region. The human geography of Rochester is designed to accommodate a transient global population. The downtown area is interconnected via climate-controlled underground and above-ground walkways, specifically designed for patients in wheelchairs or gurneys moving between hotels and clinics. The hospitality industry here caters to medical tourists from the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. In Rochester, the rhythm of the city, from the airport schedules to the hotel amenities, is dictated by the needs of the sick and the schedule of the doctors treating them. In Minnesota, going to the lake is not just a pastime. It's a distinct cultural migration that defines the state's human geography. With one recreational boat for every 6 people, Minnesotans have one of the highest rates of boat ownership in the country. This obsession creates a weekly demographic shift during the summer months. Every Friday afternoon, the Twin Cities metro area empties out as hundreds of thousands of people drive north to cabin country. This reliable mass movement creates the up north traffic rush, transforming quiet rural towns into bustling hubs for the weekend. This dual residency lifestyle is a defining trait of the local culture, where a significant portion of the population splits their identity between their urban work life and their aquatic weekend life. Minnesota has had a rough year so far. Each of you living there right now are so incredibly strong and resilient. And as someone who lived through Portland during the 2020 protests and the most recent shenanigans with the National Guard and federal agents here, just know that many of us on the outside are supporting you from afar. I hope that this video, if nothing else, helps people realize that the state is so much more than the current events. It's a beautiful and rich region that will be celebrated once again, so stay strong. I hope you enjoyed learning all about Minnesota. If you did, be sure to check out this video with fun geography facts about my home state of Oregon. Thanks for watching. See you next time.